Well, of course, it's not a vlog without you. This is like, what, twice in a row now? Yeah, I know. Then I start talking about the movie, you're still gonna get in my face and lick me. Can I have some time? Hmm? Alright, fine, you can crack. I gotta talk about this, please. I don't do anything special or edit these things because, well, time and stuff. And for moments like this, brother, you're like my Herbie, you know? Please, I gotta talk about this. Alright, so I just came out of seeing Fantastic Four First Steps, and let me just get a little closer here. There we go. The movie's still fresh in my mind. You're here. This is why I miss having Megan here. You and your dog breath. It's gonna ruin the mood. Please don't lick. Don't lick. Alright, so I just came out of seeing Fantastic Four First Steps. It's still fresh in my mind. There's just so much to process because this month there were three movies that I really wanted to see. Jurassic World Rebirth, and that was okay. Not exactly great, not exactly good. Definitely a step up from the Jurassic World movies. Has one or two fun moments, but the characters kind of annoyed me. Superman, which I saw not too long ago, which was fun, just straight up fun. It was a pure cartoon, but I still think it has tonal issues. But I feel it's worth seeing just for that second half when it really pulls itself together. I just feel with all the world building and the information that's trying to provide of this incarnation of Superman, it's tough when you don't do the origin and really have to base your own knowledge and memory just to understand exactly where certain things are coming from, especially when it tosses in things like Lex Luthor having a pocket universe and things like that. Um, this this one was the one that I really was looking forward to the most, hands down, because I grew up on Fantastic Four. I know the comics didn't come later until my teen years, but there was a Hanna-Barbera adaptation from the 1960s that ran on Cartoon Network, and I watched that one so much. It holds up well enough. There's some dated qualities to it, like the writing and stuff, but I think it's a fair, direct adaptation of the original comics. They may be a little outdated at times just because of the clunky dialogue and some awkward injections of levity, but I think they still hold up well enough. I mean, they did the Galactus storyline in just 22 minutes. They took three comics and just squeezed them down into a half hour. And the fact that they had Ted Cassidy as Galactus is just amazing. Lurch from the Addams Family, that's pretty cool. It's a shame that it's not available on DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming because of rights issues. But if you can find them, I definitely say give that a watch. Just a straight up pure watch. I do recommend it. It's like only 20 or 22 episodes in total. They're campy for what they are, but there is some real good creativity in there. Like one where they go to like a small micro universe and things like that. The movies, on the other hand, I think they suffer for a lot of things. Before this one, I remember reading up on the Roger Corman one, and I've yet to watch it. I know a lot of information about it, and it's primarily because I've been saving that one for a rainy day. Maybe episode 400, who knows? I just feel like that I want to see it at a time when the moment is right, just so I don't have to watch it now, and then maybe a year or two later rewatch it again, just so I can try and linger and think, okay, what do I think of this scene, what do I think of that moment. But the Roger Corman Fantastic Four is definitely on the back burner, but only for a very special occasion. I did try to watch some of the documentary Doomed, and that I can definitely say is worth checking out. Just hearing all the details and the folks working on this film and the high expectations that it just led to tragically nothing is just fascinating to hear, especially the heart they were given with such limited time and budget. Um, then there's the 2005 Tim Story movies. Actually, I should take that back because one came out in 2005 and the other a couple years later. Um, I did rewatch the first one just last night, and it's fine. It's not good. It's not great. There's a couple things I do appreciate and like. Michael Chiklis as the Thing, I think, hands down. At that point, my personal favorite incarnation of the Thing is Paul Frees in the Hanna-Barbera one. I know there's sentimental value. But Michael Chiklis, I thought, came very, very close. I just like the idea of Ben Grimm being a very gruff, very tough character, but he has a soft heart. I love characters like that, like Garfield and stuff. So, of course, that's going to hit me very well. The rest of the Tim Story adaptation is really hit and miss. The acting is not very good. I'm glad Chris Pine got better when he became Captain America. I'll say that much. I don't think it's the worst movie I've ever seen, but it's something that does have its moments. Though the longer cut I found fascinating, given how they do give a little more insight into Ben Grimm and his connection with Alicia Masters, which really should have stayed in the theatrical cut. But I feel like the problem with that one is that they tried to mimic what was successful for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, which is let's do the origin and just slowly build up from there. But Raimi was someone who knew the comics very, very well, so you knew exactly what die-hard fans wanted to see and how to accumulate that and make it into an adaptation. Rise of the Silver Surfer, I have not seen it since the drive-ins. My experience of that was very, very terrible. I'll probably explain one major reason why when I get there. But I remember being okay with it as a kid up to a certain point. And when it got to that moment, I'm just like, wow, what a letdown. Just what a straight up letdown. Less said about the Josh Trank Fantastic Four movie, the better. I think my vlog is somewhere out there in the reaches of my channel. You can check it out. Sorry if I'm doing this. It's just I'm trying to stay awake. Because I had to go to like the most available latest showing. But no, now we have this version of the Fantastic Four, and there is a lot I really like about it. So much. I like how it's in its own universe and has this 1960s utopia futuristic aspect. I like how it's this group that just got their powers. It comes in just right after they went into space and everything. But at the same time, too, they are heroes of not just one part of the world, but the entire world. And I think that's an ingenious setup because there's so many responsibilities, so many people look up to them. And I like the little nods and Easter eggs in the beginning montage when they show the, its name escapes me, but the subterranean creature that's on the cover of the very first issue of Fantastic Four. That was really cool to see. And for anyone who looked at the Little Caesars ad and like, ugh, is that the monster? Like, no, thank goodness it does not look like that. Thank goodness. I don't know if someone updated the model or what, but I'm glad it looks way better here. The premise is very, very interesting. Sue Storm is expecting a kid, but then things get rattled up when they get visited by Shalaba. If I mispronounce her name, I do apologize. A Silver Surfer that works under Galactus and is telling the world, hey, your planet is marked to be consumed by this giant alien. And right then and there, the whole film takes off, and without giving a whole lot away, I was genuinely very impressed with just the way they have the amount of build-up, the great resources of payoff, because when you're going into this world, there's so many things to look around in. There's something that feels practical from the sets and the cityscapes that they move around in. And at the same time, this particular story that they go with is way more interesting because now you have a group of superheroes that are faced with the task of making two. They have a choice of making one of two sacrifices: either give up the world or something very precious to them to save the world. And they're so stressed and pressured into that one corner that it really becomes much more difficult for them to get through, because so many people, not just in one spot, but around the globe, just look up to them. And it's interesting how Superman also feels very similar, but the big difference is that you have one hero that has been established as a savior, and then one small piece of information completely changes all that, so he's practically outcasted from his own, and now he has to reassess himself and find an identity about who he is, kind of like the Rocky movies in a sense. With Fantastic Four, it's a little more interesting because it's not just one person, it's a group of people. And they are tasked with this one small choice that could mean life or death. And because the whole planet is in jeopardy, that does make it a little more intriguing when they have to face this incredible challenge. Okay, taking special effects out of the equation, on paper, it's such an interesting debate that I find myself leaning a little more towards that one. And don't get me wrong, I love both movies, the hell out of them. I really, really do. But I think the best analogy I can make is this: Superman is a fun Saturday morning cartoon. Just throws logic out the window, you sit back, enjoy the ride, and it delivers on that. It really does. But if I had to compare this incarnation of Fantastic Four in terms of tone and the kind of feel it's going for, the best comparison I can make is the Fox Kids adaptation of X-Men. I feel like it's on that similar level because it's doing more than just action and crazy, insane things. And don't get me wrong, you get that too. There's some really cool visuals. There's some really good action beats, especially one or two chase bits. But as a whole, it is grounded in its own reality, and it is trying to take itself very, very serious, and you believe that. The tension and the fact that they have this one basic ultimatum that could mean the fate of the world, or even the universe for that matter, and just to see them try to find ideas to get around it or a way into it, that's not really necessarily to the point where it's like, okay, let's blow up the bad guy and be over with it. No, they actually intellectually think about it. And you do get rewarded with some really cool stuff, especially the ending, which this is in the trailer, so I can kind of spoil it. When Galactus does come down and stomps around in the city and stuff, and everyone's evacuated below, underneath, and they're just wondering, what's going on up there, what's the fate of our world, and stuff like that. And you have this giant alien monster just stomping around in 1960s New York Square. You feel the weight of this thing, the girth. Even Galactus himself is a major win for me, and here's why. Just the fact it's a giant being that devours planets, life source, and everything. That's a scary idea, if done right. So, imagine me as a young kid watching Rise of the Silver Surfer, and they don't reveal too much about Galactus. I'm just thinking to myself, how are they going to do this? Is it going to be a giant person? It's got to be. And they're teasing it. Finally, you go to the drive-ins, you sit in the back, you wait, like, where's Galactus? Okay, this is okay. Oh, this is crap. Okay, Galactus. Bring on Galactus. Oh, it's a giant fart cloud shaped like his helmet. Time for me to grow up. Oh, brother. That's one of the many biggest cinematic disappointments in my life, because, again, I grew up on Fantastic Four, and that's something I always wanted to see on the big screen, this giant alien being just stomping around on Earth, and chances are, if 15 or 17-year-old me saw this movie, I would have probably thought the world of this. I would be so torn, like, which one? Spider-Man or Fantastic Four First Steps? Like, which one will I choose? Please don't make me choose! I like them both. But going back to this one, When you first see Galactus, you feel the tension, you feel the weight, you feel the girth. You see those blue eyes just shining in the dark, and you can almost make out all the armor and stuff. And you hear that loud voice coming over the speakers, the I hunger. I'm just sitting in my seat with popcorn, drink, what's left of my mozzarella sticks. I'm just like, oh crap. And that's the feeling I want from something like this. Like, that's exactly what I want to feel. I want to feel some kind of scare, some kind of tension, this powerful godlike being that's going to come and destroy the world. And they do that so well, and you really do feel that. And the way they pace it and build to the moments you want to see at the end are just so worth it. Oh my goodness. And everyone plays to their own strengths. Reed Richards, I didn't mind Pedro Pascal's casting. I thought he was fine. I'm very, very neutral about the whole thing. But performance and character-wise, I thought he was pretty great. I know stretching yourself is not really a fantastic superpower, but I always thought the main thing was his brain and his thinking skills. How he's very calculated, trying to find solutions and reasoning and logic and what kind of thing to get around this problem and stuff like that. And they so present that very well. So all the time, he's not just like stretching limbs or anything or like growing tall and stuff. They really play around with the brainy aspect of the character. He's not egotistical. He's trying to do good with what knowledge that he has. I like Sue Storm and how she can really stand up for herself. She's not just the girl type. She can create force fields to such an amazing power. Yeah, she turns invisible once in a while, and even also can turn things invisible if protected right. But I just love how she has the ability to stand up for herself. There is a moment when, spoiler, minor spoiler, when the world turns against them for a reason. And she goes out there and faces them and says, look, this happened to me and my brother Johnny. We're kind of on our own now, but we consider ourselves a family and trying to fight. We're all like, you are so much more than that. You are family to us. And she stands up out there. She's really telling this crowd, look, we're not just going to say forget the world. We're going to try and save you too. Like, that is a gutsy moment. And even later too, she gets her big moment near the end, which feels so well earned. It shows that she is a fighter. She believes what she can. I love the stuff between Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm. Especially, I love Ben Grimm the most. I grew up on him. What can I say? I like how they pal off each other, not to the point where it's like Bert and Ernie where they want to kill each other, but more to the point where, yeah, they joke around, but they're kind of family and they're doing the best they can. But it's not like overplayed to the point of annoyance. And when they have to work together, they do work together. And that's an important aspect. They work together as a team, even if one doesn't want to. They just go through the best that they can without these little, like, annoying nuances. And even Johnny, too, gets his little moment when he cracks a certain important element, very crucial to the plot, that makes him very key to the whole story without saying too much. When he goes up against the Silver Surfer and has some kind of connection to her in a sense. But it's not romantic. It's a sense of compassion and trying to convince them, look, you're not just destroying this one, you're coming off of sending this thing that destroyed other planets. Understand the humanity that you are throwing away here. And the way that he convinces her is both interesting and clever at the same time, and I liked that. And of course, the Thing, what they did here was very intriguing. I'm used to the Thing being a very gruff and tough character. This felt like the polar opposite, which at first I was like, I don't know how to feel about this, but then eventually I kind of warmed up to this aspect. The idea that he is a soft character, he is a very delicate person that is surrounded by rock all over his body and stuff. So he's not just grumpy all the time. He's actually trying to be a living human being, even if he has this power with him, which is strength and, of course, a mutation. But he lives with it. And I thought that was kind of interesting. He isn't trying to, shun himself or something akin to that. He's really trying to make a difference in the world despite what he is. He has these soft quirks and characteristics to him that make him more than just a rough and tough character. He actually does carry a good heart. And I do like how they play into the character's religious aspect, even if brief, which I don't think was touched upon in any other adaptations, not to my knowledge. I thought that was an interesting idea that, even if seen briefly, that they do carry over, if not subtle, very well done. There's a scene where he goes into... I'm probably going to get this wrong, I do apologize. You know what, screw it, I gotta play it safe. I really gotta play it safe. Because I don't know the right terminology. My brain's locked up. I don't want to offend everyone. Let's see here. I do apologize. It's just, there's a really good scene, and I don't want to mess up the... Okay, I just want to make sure I got the terminology right. Sorry about that. So, there's a scene where Ben Grimm enters a synagogue, and seeing everyone surrounded there, to be there and together, that was a brief yet very powerful moment. The fact that he knows these people, he goes through that neighborhood, he visits who's there, and trying to connect with them while they're counting down to hoping that this plan they have is going to work. It's a brief but very effective moment, and there are things like that. So when it gets to the big finale at the end, it does feel earned. There is some good payoff and weight to it. Herbie was cute. I know Herbie, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was created for a 1970 revival because they were trying to do a TV adaptation of the Human Torch, and they couldn't acquire the rights to the Torch because they were trying to get like a TV pilot of that character off the ground, and that fell through, and so instead he got replaced by a robot instead. I have not seen this animated version. I've seen screen caps and things about it, but here, he was cute. Herbie was cute. I liked the little things and stuff, and his little speech stuff. Oh wow, wow, wow. That was adorable for what it was. But yeah, I really don't know what else to say without spoiling or ruining, everything. I would say really double bill this with Superman. I think both movies complement each other very, very well. And even though I do like Fantastic Four a hair, just because it felt consistent in tone, I think both movies are equally fun. These are the kinds of summer movies that I want to see. Absurd, out there, but yet there's something about them that feels weighted in reality, something that feels well grounded for what they are. But I don't want to compare. As much as I enjoyed the two of them, a little me is leaning more towards Fantastic Four, just because of the questions and concepts it raises are so fascinating, because you have a group of heroes that everybody around the world looks up to, and then they're tasked with a situation that's beyond their control. It's difficult, because now they have the pressure of saving the world that is looking up to them, and this big galactic threat that is coming down to them in a ticking clock motif. And they're just seconds away from hoping that they're going to save not just the planet, but the people that live there. Oh my goodness, maybe that's why I like this one more. There is a risk factor. That's not to say James Gunn's Superman was bad or anything. It had great ideas. It had a situation in Metropolis and a whole thing with a foreign country that's on the brink of war, and one person with many powers is tasked choosing between saving his town or the fictional country. That can be difficult. Or else here, the threat and the problem is much more greater to their own, which makes it more intriguing for the entire conflict. Again, they're both fun movies. They're both fun movies. Definitely check them both out. But this one, I would say inches up a hair just because of those things. I love the world that they build here. I love the 60s aesthetic. I like how it just goes all out with this tribute to Jack Kirby and the kinds of things that he created with these cosmic beings and stuff. And it's not like they're repeating things and stuff like that. When you see the destruction of a planet, you feel that planet getting destroyed and consumed and munched and mulched down as fuel for this giant monster that is encased in a giant metallic sphere. Mm. I I want to see this again. Like, I really want to see this again. There are so few movies that really make me want to go out and either A, see it again, or B, buy it on Blu-ray, but this is actually a very big exception. Because you know what? I think they really got it right here. Maybe it's not 100% perfect, but you know what? For what they did, it felt like a genuine Fantastic Four movie. Because I've been like really at odds with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Last thing I saw was Thunderbolts, and oh man, that was a trip and a half. You're introducing us these new characters that are supposed to be the new Avengers, and they don't even earn that title. Because throughout the whole movie, it feels like a therapy session, and not so just them going after a big baddie. Well, that's one I wouldn't find myself watching again. Fantastic Four, yes, because there is optimism and something interesting going on. Speaking of which, there are two post credits. There's a mid credit and a post credit. Definitely stay for the mid credits. I won't give it away, but I'm a little curious to see where it's gonna go. I'm still on the fence about the upcoming Avengers Doomsday, but I will say this, the one tease we do get right before the end credits does make me intrigued. One small image, one small look, and I can already sense exactly what kind of threat, not from a physical level, but a psychological level, that does make me wonder just exactly what they're going to do with it. And if it's what I think it's going to go, I'm actually going to be curious for Doomsday. I won't say what it is, but just let me tell you, one simple image makes quite a unique tease. And after the end credits and stuff, there is a bonus scene, but it's more of a cute little Easter egg. I won't say what it is because I don't want to ruin it, but it is one of those where it's a nod to something. And it was nice to see, but even then, there's like a little quote that happens before that that's actually kind of nice. And if it wasn't for that post credit, it somehow ruins a little of the poignancy left in that quote that they have at the end. I think it would have been fine if they didn't have that post credit and just end the movie with the quote and then just go to black. I mean, it was a nice little nod. I'll give it that much, but I think it would have been more worth it just to have the quote there and nothing else. So, if anything, definitely see the mid credit and then leave. And then maybe when it comes out on home video streaming, just skip all the way to the end just to see that quote, because thinking about it and looking back on the little cleverness it does makes the ride all the more teary. It's kind of like that quote they had it at the end of Meet the Robinsons. It's nice and it does have a poignancy to it, especially with what they do here. But yeah, those are my two thoughts for a movie that didn't have any special promos or collector's cups. I got my worth out of it. And man, it's gonna be hard to top. It's gonna be really, really hard to top. So, yeah, that's all I got to say. I'd love to know what you think about this movie. I'm certainly curious, to say the least, because I thought this was worth checking out. And until next time, whatever they might be, see you on the flip side.